Hello, it's the Great Canadian Bagel here, coming to you with the next of the Senate / gubernatorial races by state. Just as a general note, comment below this video if you want me to see like overview Senate maps, so like of all the Senate seats, as I slowly fill them in by doing these individual ones. I can't do Senate races like I do the House races because the Senate races are much more particular on the candidate and not so much a general thing. So let me know if you want to see an overview map and I can start filling that out. Though it may or may not just be filled out on my Twitter depending on how that goes. And if you want, I always post these maps and stuff a day ahead on Twitter, so if you want to follow me there to see them early, by the way, follow me there. But where are we in this race? Well, the gubernatorial race in Pennsylvania, the Democrats are up about 3.1 percentage points. And broadly speaking, it's actually very close. Now, again, right now, Shapiro is set to win, and he's definitely leading solidly. Though he's not leading as much as most of the polls are suggesting. And if you look at crappy pollsters or models such as 538, then you're just getting a joke. Like, Mastriano is not 10 points behind. He's slowly behind right now. But, again, one of the big things that is putting him behind, this is also true in Arizona, is a lot of Republicans are presently, according to polls, not going to support Mastriano. He only has support about 89% of the party versus Shapiro having about 93% of his party, though Mastriano is actually winning independents, about 12 points, give or take. Though there's more error bar on the independents in this because there's, again, the same thing with the Arizona surveys or models. There's just not as many polls, so there's more margin of error on this. But it looks like right now that Mastriano probably would win the race if the Republican Party actually rallies behind him. Because again, he's leading independents, and in Pennsylvania in particular, Democrats and Republicans are about equal in voter registration. The Democrats have a slight advantage, but not substantially. So it is very, very likely that if the Republican Party and the Republican voters rally to Mastriano, he could win the gubernatorial race. Though, we'll see what's going on. He is doing very good with the core Republicans, or the core America First groups, you might say, in the more rural suburban counties. He's doing a bit worse with those registered Republicans in the urban areas. It is what it is. Though, again, if they actually rally to him, he should be able to win the race, because that is mostly what's driving this difference. Because not only, according to polls, is he down about 11 percentage points, not 11 percentage points, math. He's down about 4 percentage points in relative party support, but most of the difference is actually voting for Shapiro. So about 4% more Republicans are voting for Shapiro than Democrats are voting for Mastriano. So if those Republicans were to come home, it actually is a larger increase than otherwise would be felt. It's not like they're voting third parties. There's really almost no vote going to third parties in this particular race. So, again, a lot of this is to do with the party. And if the Republican Party and Mastriano can do more ads, do more campaigning, they should be able to get the turnout and the conversion of voters they need to win. It's just a question of, does the political party of the Republican Party as a whole have the willpower to win? That I'm not so certain about. Overall, though, I will say, looking at the polls for this race, is it's been pretty flat, more or less. So Shapiro's looking like maybe he's trending down from his early July highs, though July polls are more or less meaningless, so that doesn't really tell you anything. And now he's looking like he's maybe in the high 40s, late early 50s, as opposed to being in the mid 50s, but the trend is not very strong. It's also not very strong trends right now in the raw polling from Mastriano, so it's kind of looks like the race might be a bit flat right now, or the polls could be crappy. Again, there's not a lot of polls, and I do have a lot of doubt on some of them. I'm sure some of you may have seen the Echelon Insight polls, and those were just laughable. Those were terrible. But we will move on to the Senate race. So the Senate race is almost the same story. Shocking, right? So it's actually really surprising. Oz is almost in the exact same position as Mastriano, except different, which is funny. So, generally speaking, Oz is doing better in the urban areas than Mastriano did, but he's doing worse in the rural areas. Kind of a wash there. But what's particularly noticeable about Oz, according to the polls, again, put some salt in this. There's not too many polls, and this doesn't even make sense to me. But I don't do my own polls, so I can't really forecast things outside of that. But according to the polling average, or the polling that my model that has been used in my model, apparently more Republicans are voting for Fetterman than Republicans are voting for Shapiro, which doesn't make any sense. I think that's probably just not true at all. And I think this projection has been really skewed by polling. I actually think Oz might be winning the race right now. But, as always, in this channel, I don't change a result that my model says based off of what I think is happening unless I see a change to the algorithm. If the algorithm looks fine and it's giving this result, okay. I think in this case the algorithm is fine, but the polling is wrong. Or possibly the polling hasn't caught up. Because in the last little bit, late August, he's actually gained quite a bit of ground, Oz versus Fetterman. And as long as you ignore the Echelon Insight drivel that was released this week, it looks quite plausible that Oz might actually be able to win the race. If Republicans don't turn out and vote for Oz, well, that might happen. There's definitely been a lot of cases of low excitement for the Republicans in this particular race, and a lot of them seem unexcited for Oz. And I can appreciate that. He doesn't seem to be the most genuine conservative in the world, so I can definitely appreciate Republicans in Pennsylvania not being excited to vote for him. But considering he's up against Fetterman, who is very, very not conservative, some have even said he's a socialist. Though I've not looked too closely into it, so I will not prognosticate either or on that position. But it's very safe to say that it seems like to me the worst case scenario was Oz's generic, if you're a Republican, whereas Fetterman is clearly to the left of the Democratic Party. He's on the left wing of the Democratic Party, so I don't really see why you should go out and vote for Oz if you're a Republican, regardless of what your opinions are. Because worst case scenario, he's the same as Fetterman. Best case scenario, he's better. And if he's worse than Fetterman, or the same as Fetterman, you can always primary him in 2028. Better to primary a Republican who's currently the incumbent than to just have a Democrat incumbent. That makes sense. If you're the Democrats, this is going great. Fetterman's fantastic for you. But I will note, it seems his health issues might be coming up to him, and it might really hurt him. especially in independents. It doesn't look like it's hurting him right now among independents, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up doing so. It's just a matter of really looking into the future and seeing what's going to happen. So right now, he is leading by 3 by my modeling. But I strongly suspect, given a month and a half, Oz might actually win. Oz has a good chance of winning, I should say. He's down 3, but the race is closer than 3 represents because, again, a lot of the distance that Fetterman has in front of Oz is Pennsylvania Republicans allegedly going to vote for Fetterman, which I think is just hogwash. I don't think it's going to happen, but again, I'm limited by the polls I have, and I don't have that many, and many of them are not very good. And I do, in this model, my modeling, I do try to correct for polling error, but you can correct for polling error, but if your polls are fundamentally terrible, you can't, it's hard to correct for them. Because the polling error corrections I do work quite well on a national scale, because there's just a lot of polls, but right now, in Pennsylvania for this race, I think we're working on really 3 or 4 polls that are of any value. There are more polls considered, but a lot of what matters in this regard is like the detailed data, and we don't have a lot of the detailed data. There's not a lot of those. So that is the big wrinkle here. But we'll see going forward. Maybe we will get more polls, and if not, who knows? So just to finish, I will say it looks to me like both of these races are extremely competitive. 3% is well within striking distance in my mind. To me, any race within 10 points is a competitive race, and any race within 2 is too close to call. So the Arizona races are too close to call. This one is within striking distance. Oz can win. Mastriano can win. Will they win? I can't tell you for sure, but it definitely looks like they're going to win. And I will just strongly say there are some polls out there, such as the recent Echelon Insights poll, which are just dumb. Echelon Insights has this race Fetterman plus 21. That's just nonsense. It's like, it's so stupid it doesn't even deserve words. I dissected how likely wrong that poll is on Twitter. So if you want to look at that, follow me on Twitter. Otherwise, though, I will wrap this one up. The next state I'm planning on doing, I haven't fully decided yet. It's either going to be North Carolina or Nevada. I would like to do Nevada, but it depends a moment on polls, because I have to double check. I think there's enough polls of the kind I need, but we'll just wait and see. And if it's not Nevada, I'm probably going to aim for North Carolina. Though New Hampshire is also on my list. By all means, comment below on races you might want to see me covered, because I probably won't have time to cover all of them in detail. I might, if I end up doing a Senate map, I might just gut feeling some of them. And I will distinguish which ones are gut feeling versus which ones are modeled, because again, I probably don't have time to do all the ones modeled. If I didn't have a day job, I could probably do it, but I do. This is my second job, so. Generally speaking, though, on my radar, we have Nevada, North Carolina, Georgia, New Hampshire. I know people have Ohio as in doubt, but that's stupid. Ohio's not in doubt. Republicans are going to win Ohio. If J.D. Vance loses Ohio, I will be stupefied. There's almost no discernible way that's going to happen, especially since they're trying to say he's going to lose it because he's extremely pro-MAGA, or extremely America first. Guys, like, Trump won this state by, 10 points nearly. I don't think America first is going to make you lose Ohio. I think that's just polls being terrible. But with that, I will wrap this up. And if you like the video, by all means, like, share, subscribe, let people know, get this stuff out. There's a lot of bad polls and a lot of bad models like 538 who are trying to say that these races are not competitive. I guess technically speaking, my metric, he has him as mildly competitive because he has Fetterman only up by 9.4, but they're still stupid and he sucks. Don't follow 538. It is actually a terrible website. If you want me to go into that, I can go into that, but they're really incompetent. Nate Silver is really bad at this. Either that or he's a actual propaganda agent, but I think he's more just bad. But with that, I wish you well to do, and I will see you next time.